Welcome in and welcome back. We went over the Disney Investors Day stuff for Marvel, but I thought I would dip my toes in as far as the Star Wars end of things is concerned as well, or at least the Lucasfilm, because there's one non-Star Wars entity on this list, despite the fact that there were, I believe, three non-Star Wars Winter's Bone, Bone Winter, something, a children, a YA novel, and Willow, a Willow series announced as well. But I'm just going to be talking about the Star Wars stuff, and I think I need to lead off with a little bit of an explanation about who I am with Star Wars. I was never a Star Wars guy. 2 years ago, I probably could have named maybe 20 characters, maybe. It would have taken me quite a long time to do it, and I would have been, the one guy with the head stuff, I'd have been that guy. But The Mandalorian has converted me to something of a Star Wars fan. So this is coming, I think, this video is coming from the sort of assumption that many people are on that train as well. I think that a lot of people saw The Mandalorian and were converted to being quote-unquote Star Wars guys. That said, my pop culture references basically for the past 12 years have gone only so deep as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I am basically pop culture wise just an MCU fan or a Marvel fan. The comics and stuff as well, the characters in general. The characters are what gets me. The characters are what draws me into a property such as Marvel, such as Star Wars, something like that. But I am just as excited and just as curious about the Star Wars end of things coming up on mainly Disney Plus as I am with the Marvel stuff that's coming up. And I think that speaks volumes about what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing with the Mandalorian property. I think that that's where I'm at. My knowledge of the Star Wars universe is not very deep, but my excitement, therefore, is very high. That said, there are on this list 14 Star Wars specific shows, 13 of which were announced on the Disney Investor Day, at the Disney Investor Day. And one that was not, but it was not announced so that it could be dropped on the Mandalorian episode, which I think debuted the very day after, or a couple of days after, something like that. So with 14 properties in development, presumably 14, it seems they did not announce Mandalorian Season 3. I don't think. But they did, somewhat earlier, announce Mandalorian Season 3 prior to the Disney Investor Day event, but they did not, to the best of my recollection, re-announce it at the Disney Investor Day. They announced it to drop in December of this year, but that's also when the Boba Fett series is said to drop. But that said, there are two things here, one that I appreciate, one that I do not. There was a 24-minute presentation. About 5 of those minutes were clips from Season 2 of The Mandalorian, which had been previously playing already. All of the footage that was shown at this Investor Day was footage that had already debuted on Disney Plus. The episodes had already passed. So it was interesting to see that, and it is, I think, interesting to see that for a reason that is perplexing. It seems they don't have anything concrete yet, which, hey, no one does. The pandemic screwed up everything, right? The pandemic put everything on hold. But then with the properties such as Andor, which we'll get to a little bit later, the people talking about that seemed as if they were deep into development. So I'm not 100% sure where these properties are, and if there are so many that are deep in development, how they don't have leaks. Like, that is one thing that has been very impressive about the Star Wars Disney Plus slate, is that the lack of leaks. Spoiler warning, if you have not seen The Mandalorian, I'm going to say something that was spoiled that happened in the very final episode of the Season 2. How you keep Luke Skywalker coming back, how you keep that secret, I have no idea. But they did. So I didn't really appreciate that, but I did appreciate the fact that there was a. I didn't appreciate the 5 minutes of the Mandalorian stuff going on, which I guess is for investors. It is investor focused. That's why we got so much of it. It is not fan focused. But we got a good deal of explanation about the stagecraft technology, which makes me wonder, is it just a Lucasfilm thing? Or do properties such as Marvel have access to this? There are now, they are saying, 3 different stagecraft locations, or maybe it was 3 new ones. There's a great big one somewhere, but there's one in England and one in Australia, I think is where they said they were, in addition to California. That is going to make things a whole lot more fun from a fan perspective because, like I said, there's not going to be a whole lot of leaks from things that happen on such a small set. So that's exciting, and it is also a step forward for the movie making process, which is something that Lucasfilms has always been on the forefront of. Something of which Lucasfilm has always been on the forefront. Moving forward, the first thing that they announced, the first 2 series they announced were Rangers of the New Republic and Ahsoka. I don't know what Rangers of the New Republic is. I don't know if that is going to... One has to believe this is going to be Cara Dune. One has to believe that Cara Dune is not going to be alone because of the plural in Rangers. But is it going to be with... Here's what I would like to see. I would like to see Cara Dune and Fennec Shan. I really would. That was a fun team-up on the Bill Burr episode of Season 2. It's funny, we got a Season 1 Bill Burr episode, Season 2 Bill Burr episode. We're just going to refer to them as the Bill Burr episodes. I can't remember what it was called, the episode name. But there's been a lot of, for some reason, there's been a lot of conjecture that I have seen online that this is going to be Cara Dune and Bo-Katan. I don't see Bo-Katan being in there at all. The only reason that I see maybe Bo-Katan will be in there is something I'm going to mention a little bit later. But I don't know why no one is sort of... maybe I'm way out of left field. Maybe I'm missing something completely. No one has really speculated that this is going to be Cara Dune and Greef Karga. Greef Karga seems the obvious write-in here. Would be interesting to see. Who doesn't want more Greef Karga? The next series, Ahsoka, a little bit more Rosario Dawson, never hurt anybody. But it makes me wonder, when they announced both of these, we got an announcement for the Boba Fett series that was also called a limited series. These 2 were introduced and not referred to as a limited series. Does that mean these will be recurring series, like The Mandalorian has been? Will these characters, will these series have multiple seasons? You can tell I'm not a TV guy because I'm tripping all over these words. That is what is interesting to me. Is Ahsoka Tano going to get multiple seasons of her own show? Will the Rangers of the New Republic be a multi-season event? Because what else was talked about, and what else makes me wonder where Bo-Katan is going to show up. Bo-Katan is most certainly going to be, it seems, part of what it was announced that Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, and Ahsoka Tano are going to team up in some multi-show Avengers-like culminating event, which we're led to believe, obviously, with Ahsoka name-dropping a villain such as Thrawn, that it's going to be a Thrawn event. We have to imagine Bo-Katan shows up in that too. The culminating event itself was not announced. I think that culminating event is going to be on the big screen, is going to be a series of movies, is going to be a trilogy, and it's going to be produced by Kevin Feige. Everyone remembers that Kevin Feige was promised a Star Wars property. I think that what will end up happening is there's been a lot of directors, of notable, name-worthy directors, streaming through The Mandalorian. Getting an episode here, an episode there, Peyton Reed. You've got, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I can't remember his name. I'm going to get slaughtered for this. It doesn't matter. Anyway, a lot of big name directors. So what I wonder if this is what's going to happen. Is this going to be a trilogy with all of these characters culminating on the big screen under the watchful eye of Kevin Feige, with Jon Favreau directing a movie, with Peyton Reed directing a movie, with someone else directing a movie? Makes me wonder if that's what's going to go on there, because it seems one thing you have to give The Mandalorian, whether you like it or not, and I don't know anyone who doesn't, is the quality. Maybe not quite movie quality, certainly not television quality. These episodes, these seasons have been very high quality. So it will be a natural transition to see these characters on the big screen. It will not feel out of place. It will not feel like the little screen on the big screen. It will feel movie quality. And it makes me wonder if this is going to be, if this is going to be a culminating event, we have to have subsidiary characters rise along the way. From which of these series will those characters rise? We have to understand more about the dynamics between Thrawn and what other characters there are. Where are we going to learn those dynamics? There is a character apparently named Ezra, which has a lot to do with the Thrawn character. I gather that this is a Jedi character. Will Ezra appear in one of these series, or will he, like Luke, make a debut on the big screen, like Luke made a debut in the end of The Mandalorian? Will he make his debut, his live-action debut, on one of the movies for this culminating event? I think there's a lot of stuff in the air right there, and that's just 2 episodes in. That's just 2 series in. 2 of the announcements. There's still 12 more things to talk about. Andor. I never saw Rogue One. I don't know what this is. I am not sure how to feel about this one, but one of the quotes from one of the people involved was that there are over 200 named characters. Now, Star Wars is absolutely infamous for giving a name to a guy that appeared on screen for 2.5 seconds, maybe writing a book about him, and definitely printing tons of little plastic toys about that guy, of that guy, just to sell them. So possibly that's what's going on. Possibly there's a lot of that. I don't think it's going to be all that much of that. I think that there are 200 characters that will appear in this what is called, being referred to as a spy thriller. Again, I am not familiar with Rogue One, so I don't know what direction this is going. But it was also introduced as a series. How many episodes will this series be? The next thing to talk about, Kenobi, or it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi, I guess the series. Why wouldn't you just call the series Kenobi? It sounds a lot better. This will be directed by Deborah Chow. Deborah Chow notably has directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian season. I think she directed 2 episodes of The Mandalorian season 1. Deborah Chow is someone who is renowned, so I am assuming that this will be a quality product because all of the episodes are directed by her. I am assuming this is going to feel a lot more like a movie than does The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian feels very episodic. I am assuming that there will be a clear and definitive through line to the Kenobi series. One of the announcements around this was that Darth Vader, or the actor who played Darth Vader, will be back. It is unclear at this time whether Hayden Christensen will appear simply as himself, or not as himself, but as Anakin in flashbacks, or if this is going to be Darth Vader, because Kathleen Kennedy did say that this will be the rematch of the century. I'm not sure what that means, but it will be interesting to see the dynamic between Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen on screen again. It will be interesting to see these 2 characters represented again, And I have to believe we're going to get something bittersweet. Just knowing, being a little bit familiar with Deborah Chow, not completely familiar with Deborah Chow, but I think that the feeling of bittersweet is something that is going to be too tantalizing for her to pass up. A lot of Star Wars is predicated upon hope, right? One of the famous quotes is that George Lucas told Dave Filoni, "Don't forget about the hope. The kids need the hope." When he was making the Rebels series, Rebels or what's the other one? Clone Wars. Either the Rebels or the Clone Wars series. He made sure that Dave Filoni made hope part of the thematic overtures in the series. But I think a little bit of melancholy is how we're going to see the transition between the Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan Kenobi that we know and the Obi-Wan Kenobi that existed in the original Star Wars trilogy. There was, and the reason I say that is I was suggested on YouTube, but I didn't watch it, unfortunately, a video titled Obi-Wan Kenobi has PTSD, which I didn't understand what that meant. I've seen the original Star Wars way back when, haven't really gone back and watched it again. The most recent time I watched it was 3 years ago, I think. So I didn't really understand what that meant. So I went back, and I've got Disney Plus, and I pulled up the original Star Wars, and I watched where the Obi-Wan Kenobi was explaining stuff to Luke. That's a much different guy than Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Hello there, right? That's a much different guy than that. Why? I think this series will be the transition between that character and the character that we got in the original trilogy. The next thing to talk about is The Bad Batch, which is a cartoon based on several of the clones, which were, I guess, mishandled or something. I'm not 100% sure. Look, to be very honest, not a cartoon guy. Probably not going to be a cartoon guy. The thing that gets me interested about this, though, one of the things that I'm interested in with this entire event is volume. How much are we getting with this stuff? Because one thing I do know is I have looked at all of the thumbnails for the Rebels and Clone Wars shows on Disney Plus. I don't think I'm going to get around to reviewing those things. I really don't. But I know that each season, for the most part, has 22 episodes. Is Bad Batch going to be 22 episodes long? If it is, that's all. I mean, you're looking at 52 weeks in a year. You're looking at half a year almost with episodes of The Bad Batch, which is going to cover a lot of ground for Disney Plus. So it makes me wonder how big that series is going to be, and will it be multi-season as well? One of the things that sort of comes up when you're looking at this and all of this volume, we don't have a lot of dates. How far out are we looking with this? When are these series going to start dropping? How long are these series going to run? And how many seasons will they have? It would be... Are we going to... This makes it seem as if we will constantly have new Star Wars products on Disney Plus. Mandalorian was 8 episodes. That's 2 months. Ahsoka, 8 episodes. It's 2 more months. The Rangers of the New Republic, 8 episodes. It's 2 more months. All of a sudden, you're looking at a half a year right there with just 3 of these series. You've got 14 series. Or 14, well, you've got at least 11 series. The Boba Fett's a one-time, Rogue Squadron's a movie. The Taika Waititi property will be a movie. So what exactly are we looking at here? Are we looking at a constant stream of Star Wars? Will there always be something of Star Wars debuting and premiering? Will there? And one of the things that we know to this point about Disney Plus, they love to premiere their stuff on Fridays. That is when we will be getting WandaVision in just a couple weeks here. A week and a half. They love to premiere things on Fridays. Is that spot taken by Marvel or Star Wars? Or is this blueprint for many, 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 many years out? Difficult to say. Star Wars Visions was introduced. I am not sure what that is. I am not sure what Star Wars A Droid Story is. I don't know if these are one-off events, if these are cartoon movies, if these are... The Star Wars Visions thing seems like it's a mini type series deal, like they're 15-minute episodes or something. I don't know. I'm not basing that on anything. The way it was introduced was confusing to me. We have coming to us Lando, a Lando series. I'm down for that. I could deal with that. I think that there's a lot of potential here. One of the things that people have speculated about online is that it will be Billy D. Williams introducing the episode and closing out the episode, while Donald Glover gets the episode in the middle. Donald Glover plays a young Lando Calrissian. Billy D. Williams is obviously grown Lando Calrissian. Although maybe speaking to the differences between generations, I have to imagine Billy D. Williams could not have been much older than Donald Glover when they both played Lando Calrissian. What does it say that Donald Glover seems so much younger? That said, this series I think has a lot of potential, because I think what it can do is it can expand the palette of the Star Wars universe by being a lot more fun, a lot less heavy than some of the other Star Wars stuff that we get. Lando Calrissian in my mind is a little bit more Jack Sparrow than he is Han Solo, in that you just never know what he'll be getting into. Han Solo seemed to take what he could get. Lando Calrissian seems to be a character, and maybe I'm completely off base, but he seems to be a character with a little bit more presence even than Han Solo. So I am excited for that series. I don't know, is this going to be a single season thing? Or I think what Disney is going to be doing is casting it out, reeling it in, and seeing what pays off. So I think the only thing that there is to do for a fan base like the Star Wars fan base is to support wildly the parts of this that you enjoy, because undoubtedly there will be parts that you do not enjoy. There's no way 14 properties get developed like this and everything goes seamlessly. Even with the most consistent developers we have had in cinema to this point, the MCU, there have been some lesser properties. Speaking of, one has to believe that the Acolyte series, headed by Leslie Headland, with whom I am not familiar, will run that course. I don't care about your politics. I'm not here for anybody's politics. The politics surrounding that have been too loud for anyone to ignore. So I'm not going to go into it. I don't know much about her. I don't know much about her creative work. I don't know much about what Acolyte means in the Star Wars universe. So I am going to skip that. What I will not be skipping is a Star Wars movie, I believe, from Taika Waititi. This was noted by Kathleen Kennedy as being a different part of the Star Wars timeline, and I believe timeline and universe, or galaxy, I guess. So, what is it? And why Taika Waititi? And when can I see it? I have faith in Taika Waititi. He did direct an episode of The Mandalorian Season 1. He is the Thor Ragnarok guy. He is the What We Do in the Shadows. Is that what it's called? I've never seen that, but everyone seems to love it. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. There was very little to do about it. Very little information. I believe it's a film. I don't know if it's a one-off. I don't know if it's part of a trilogy. If Taika Waititi gets his own trilogy, that would be a trick, huh? Speaking of movies, the other movie announced, if indeed Taika Waititi's property is a movie, was Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron from Patty Jenkins. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Rogue Squadron is a video game series. I don't know if this is based on the video game series. I know one of the very first lines in the... So I did a review years ago for the very first Star Wars movie. And one of the very first lines in that is Rogue 2 checking in, or Rogue 2 here, something like that. Confirmation from Rogue 2. I don't remember the exact line, but it starts Rogue 2, which made me ask, where's Rogue 1? And then we got the movie. That said, I don't know what Rogue Squadron is. Is it just those individuals? Rogue 1 and Rogue 2 and Rogue 3 and Rogue 4 and Rogue 5? I don't know. Patty Jenkins seemed awfully excited to get this property. Kathleen Kennedy seems awfully positive that she'll knock it out of the park. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know anything about it. Looking forward to it, though. I'll see it. I'll watch it. And the final thing from the Star Wars universe that was not announced, but was announced days later or hours later, was Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett. This is coming this December, while The Mandalorian was also said to be coming this December. Makes me wonder what is going on there with those debut dates, with those characters, if there is some conflict between those characters, what is going on there in general, in opposition to my hope to see Fennec Shan in the Rebel, or the Rangers of the New Republic series, is the fact that she was at Boba Fett's side as he sat on the throne of the underworld, which had belonged to Jabba the Hutt. So, of all of these properties outside of Mandalorian Season 3, for which I don't know if there was an actual announcement, that's the property I am most excited for, is the Book of Boba Fett, which will be at least action-packed. That's one thing that we definitely got from his episodes on Season 2 of The Mandalorian, is the fact that this guy throws down. The last thing I want to talk about is what was it Indy 5? Indiana Jones 5, I think, from Mangold, Nick Mangold. Is it Nick Mangold? I think it's Nick Mangold. I didn't write it down. That's the guy that did Logan. That's the guy that did Logan, right? So if he gives us a Logan-esque Indiana Jones, take my money now. Take my money now. That is all I have for this episode. Get out of here, you nerds.